again. This is that Code Mason, and we're here to give you another reading from Roadmap. So let's get started. We have something new today. Again, we're still in Fullstack Frontend Developer, and we're still talking about the internet. So the next one we're going to read talks about how they explain the internet. So we're going to click on the Internet Explained. Let's go here. All right, now you see where this is coming from, Box.com. The Internet Explained. So it's by Timothy B. Lee. And the rest of the information is there. Now you see when it was updated 2015. So we're going to read, and we're just going to want to look for certain things that still apply to today. If not, look at the historical factors that are going to be posted in this blog, in this article. Let's get to reading. What is the internet? The internet is the world's most popular computer network. So remember, the internet computer network, okay? It began as an academic research project in 1969. Okay, so 1969 was a project and became a global commercial network in the 1990s. So it became global in 1990s. Today is used by more than 2 billion people around the world. Wow, that's 2 billion people. Think about 2 billion people all together at once. We know that's going to be a lot of people, but just think about it, that's a lot of people. It's already a lot of people. You got 40 people in your house in one room at a party, isn't it? So that's 2 billion people. That's a lot of people. All right. So the internet is notable for its decentralization. No one owns the internet or controls who can connect to it. Instead, thousands of different organizations operate their own networks and negotiate voluntary interconnection agreements. So we have interconnection agreements. That's something you guys can look up if you want to. I know I will. Most people access internet content using a web browser, like you're using now. You're using a web browser right now just to look at this. Really just to be able to click on this if you're clicking from a blog or something like that, and to really view this. So it's taking me to use a web browser to actually look at this as well. Okay. Most people access internet content using a web browser. Indeed, the web has become so popular that many people incorrectly treat the internet and the web as synonymous. Wow, so they're not synonymous. So the internet and the web are not synonymous, is what I'm getting from that. But in reality, the web is just one of many internet applications. Ooh, now we talked about this last time about the IP and the TCP transmission control protocol and how it has everything in order, right? It's a protocol, it helps with the order of things. So it's basically like a hierarchy, a vertical hierarchy, and yeah. So we'll talk about that later. But I know applications at the top. Other popular internet applications include email and BitTorrent. Okay. Email and BitTorrent. So where is the internet? The internet has three basic parts. Now what is the last mile is a part of the internet that connects homes and small businesses to the internet. Currently, about 60% of residential internet connections in the United States are provided by cable TV companies such as Comcast and Time Warner. The remaining 40%, a growing fraction, use new fiber optic cables, most of which are part of Verizon's FiOS program or AT&T's U-verse. Finally, a significant but shrinking number use outdated DSL service provided over telephone cables. The last mile also includes the towers that allow people... what did just happen? Come on now. You see this? This is weird. Alright, we're going to keep reading, and we're not going to get distracted. And let's reread, because sometimes that tends to throw people off. Where is the internet? The internet has three basic parts. The last mile is a part of the internet that connects homes and small businesses to the internet. Currently, about 60% of residential internet connections in the United States are provided by cable TV companies such as Comcast and Time Warner. Of the remaining 40%, a growing fraction use new fiber optic cables, most of which are part of Verizon's FiOS program or AT&T's U-verse. Finally, a significant but shrinking number use outdated DSL service provided over telephone cables. The last mile also includes the towers that allow people to access the internet with their cell phones. Wireless internet service accounts for a large and growing share of all internet usage. Okay. Data centers. Now we're talking about data centers, the second out of the three. Data centers are rooms full of servers that store user data and host online apps and content. Some are owned by large companies such as Google and Facebook. Others are commercial facilities Remember the commercial part, 1990s. All right, it's global commercial. So commercial facilities that provide service to many smaller websites. Data centers have very fast internet connections, allowing them to serve many users simultaneously. Data centers can be located anywhere in the world, but they are often located in remote areas where land and electricity are cheap. Okay, for example, Google, Facebook, and Microsoft have all constructed vast data centers in Iowa. Iowa. The backbone. All right, so it's talking about the backbone. Now, I guess this is the last one. The backbone consists of long-distance networks, mostly on fiber optic cables, that carry data between data centers and consumers. The backbone market is highly competitive. Backbone providers frequently connect their networks together at internet exchange points. Ooh, remember that, internet exchange points. It sounds like a bank to me. Usually located in major cities, establishing a presence at IEPs makes it much easier for backbone providers to improve their connections to others. All right, you see this cables at the internet exchange point. These are cables at the internet exchange point. This right here is the internet exchange point. This is basically the internet bank where everybody exchanges, right? And remember what the internet consists of as well. The internet consists of packets or units of data or information, that send back and forth, they send and receive information back and forth. Remember IP and the TCP concept. Remember that IP and TCP concept, One is making sure it gets to this destination, the other to making sure everything is in order while it's getting to this destination, making sure it does everything in order. All right, who created the internet? The internet began as ARPANET. Ooh, y'all remember that? The internet began as ARPANET, an academic research network. Research network that was funded by the military's Advanced Research Projects Agency. Now let's go back up. No, they done made it more. Okay, let's keep reading. By the military's Advanced Research Projects Agency. So ARPA. So ARPA, Advanced Research Projects Agencies. ARPA. ARPA. Now DARPA. Okay, now it's DARPA. So it used to be ARPA. Now it's DARPA. They probably don't even call it DARPANET. But we can. The project was led by Bob Taylor, an ARPA administrator. So Bob Taylor was an ARPA administrator. So he was there in the 1960s. I think it said 1969, but it's definitely in the 1960s. And let's go back up and check just in case, you know what I mean? And we'll go back down. I don't know why it did this. 1969, yes. Academic Research Project. Okay. Let's go back down. And where we are here. All right, so the project was led by Bob Taylor, an ARPA administrator, and the network was built by the consulting firm of Bolt, Beranek, and Newman. It began operations in 1969. Yeah. Okay, and that's ARPANET. It became DARPA later. In 1973, software engineers Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn began work on the next generation of networking standards for the ARPANET. These standards, known as TCP/IP Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol, became the foundation of the modern Internet. ARPANET switched to using TCP/IP on January 1st, 1983. Okay. All right, so 1983. Y'all remember TCP/IP 1983, and you can remember January. But first, if you want to, the whole thing. I always try to remember the dates. So TCP/IP 1983. During the 1980s, funding for the internet shifted from the military to the National Science Foundation. The NSF funded the long-distance networks that served as the internet's backbone from 1981 until 1994. In 1994, the Clinton administration turned control over the internet backbone to the private sectors. Okay, so 1994, private sectors, and remember this is the Clinton administration, politics, over the internet backbone to private sector. It has been privately operated and funded ever since. Did A.I. Gore invent the internet? Ooh, who is A.I. Gore? we should research that person and that name and let's see what we can get from it. But not right now. We will do that later. And actually, you guys can do your own homework and do that on your own time, as I will do the same. And if you would like to comment about it in the wherever I post this, then like it, comment, and subscribe for more. But we're gonna keep reading. Did A.I. Gore invent the internet? Former Vice President A.I. Gore is frequently quoted as claiming credit for the invention of the internet, but what he actually said in a 1999 CNN interview was, "I took the initiative in creating the internet." Gore was widely mocked for this statement, but the men who did invent the internet, TCP/IP designers Bob Kahn and Vint Cerf, wrote in Gore's defense in 2000. They argue that Gore was the first political leader to recognize the importance of the internet and to promote and support its development. As far back as the 1970s, Congressman Gore promoted the idea of high-speed telecommunications. Okay, so let's settle down for a second. We just talked about something important. So the designers were Bob Kahn and Vint Cerf. Now, Gore made this statement: "I took the initiative in creating the internet." Okay. Now, you remember the machines that they used back then? We're going to talk about it a little later, and maybe the next read. But they used certain machines at the beginning, and he is saying that I took. And remember, this is, make sure, A.I. Gore. He was a former vice president. He quoted as claiming credit for the invention of the internet. So he's claiming to invent the internet. And this is, yeah, he said this. All right, so let's read this again. Former Vice President A.I. Gore is frequently quoted as claiming credit for the invention of the internet. But what he actually said in a 1999 CNN interview was, "I took the initiative in creating the internet." Okay, now look how he cleared it up. It went from, but see, it went from invention of the internet to "I took the initiative in creating the internet." He took the initiative in creating the internet. All right. So who really, we're not even going to get into that. Gore was widely mocked for this statement, but the men who did invent the internet, TCP/IP designers Bob Kahn and Vint Cerf, wrote in Gore's defense in 2000. They argue that Gore was the first political leader to recognize the importance of the internet and to promote and support its development. As far back as the 1970s, Congressman Gore promoted the idea of high-speed telecommunications. The pair wrote, as a senator in the 1980s, Gore urged government agencies to consolidate what at the time were several dozen different and unconnected networks into an interagency network. Gore sponsored the 1991 High Performance Computing and Communications Act. Ooh, we definitely have to look up that. I know that's probably a hyperlink, and we're not gonna go to it. I would love to. So Gore sponsored 1991 High Performance Computing and Communications Act, which Kahn and Cerf say became one of the major vehicles for the spread of the internet beyond the field of computer science. Who runs the internet? Who runs the internet, guys? That's another question that it is asking. No one runs the internet. It's organized as a decentralized network of networks. Thousands of companies, universities, governments, and other entities operate their own networks and exchange traffic with each other based on voluntary interconnection agreements. Okay, so we need to really look at these interconnection agreements and see how we can make our own interconnection agreements with other people, other nations, other communities, worldwide and locally. Yeah, you got land and wind, so internet interconnection agreements. The shared technical standards that make the internet work are managed by an organization called the Internet Engineering Task Force. So that's the Internet Engineering Task Force. Okay. The Internet Engineering Task Force, or the IETF, is an open organization. Anyone is free to attend meetings, propose new standards, and recommend changes to existing standards. No one is required to adopt standards endorsed by the IETF, but the IETF's consensus-based decision-making process helps to ensure that its recommendations are generally adopted by the Internet community. The Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, ICANN, is sometimes described as being responsible for Internet governance. As its name implies, ICANN is in charge of distributing domain names like Vox.com and IP addresses, but ICANN, and remember that stands for Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. But ICANN, Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, doesn't control who can connect to the internet or what kind of information can be sent over. So what or who is monitoring is really the question I would like to ask. What's an IP address? Internet protocol addresses are numbers that computers use to identify each other on the internet. For example, an IP address for Vox.com is 216.146.4610. An ICANN department, known as the Internet Assigned Numbers Authority, is responsible. So that's IANA. So an ICANN department. So this is a department within ICANN, known as the Internet Assigned Numbers Authority, is responsible for distributing IP addresses to ensure that two different organizations don't use the same address. So IP, Internet Protocol addresses. These are just addresses, unique, I'm sure. All right. So, what is IPv6? Ooh, now we're getting into some things. The current internet standard, known as IPv4, only allows for about 4 billion IP addresses. This was considered a very big number in the 1970s. But today, the supply of IPv4 addresses is nearly exhausted. I want to say something too, because when you're in a house or you're like in multiple, let's say one person can literally have 10 phones in each house, and it could just be running for no reason. Or for a reason, whatever they have running on their phones, whatever software applications they have running up there. But, I just want to think about that though. This was considered a very big number in the 1970s, but today's supply of IPv4 addresses is nearly exhausted. All right, so we read that. So internet engineers have developed a new standard called IPv6. IPv6 allows for a mind-boggling number of unique addresses. The exact figure is 39 digits long. Wow. You got 6 figures, and then you got 7 figures. 7 figures is a million. 6 figures is 100,000s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 figures. This has 39 digits. So 7 digits versus 39 digits. And billion is what? If I'm not mistaken, if 6 is 100,000, you add another 0, that's 7, and 7 digits is 1 million. Add another 0, that's 8 digits. 8 digits is 10 million. Another 900 million. Another one, 10. So 10 digits is a billion. So we're talking about 2 billion people on the earth. But it says something about it says something about IPv something. Let me see. Let's go back and look. 4 billion. So that's only, 10 digits. This is 39 digits long. So just think about that. Ensuring that the world will never again run out. Unless y'all are just being trolls or something. Like, come on, guys. Don't do that to each other. All right. So at first, the transition to IPv6 was slow. Technical work on the standard was completed in the 1990s, but the internet community faced a serious chicken and egg problem. As long as most people were using IPv4, there was little incentive for anyone to switch to IPv6. But as IPv4 addresses became scarce, IPv6 adoption accelerated. The fraction of users who connected to Google via IPv6 grew from 1% at the beginning of 2013 to 6% in mid-2015. How does wireless internet work? In its early years, internet access was carried over physical cables. But more recently, wireless internet access has become increasingly common. There are two basic types of wireless internet access: Wi-Fi and cellular. Wi-Fi networks are relatively simple. Anyone can purchase Wi-Fi network equipment in order to provide internet access in a home or business. Wi-Fi networks use unlicensed spectrum, electromagnetic frequencies that are available for anyone to use without charge to prevent neighbors' networks from interfering with each other. There are strict limits on the power and therefore the range of Wi-Fi networks. Cellular networks are more centralized. They work by breaking up the service territory into cells. In the densest areas, cells can be as small as a single city block. Ooh. In rural areas, a cell can be miles across. Each cell has a tower at its center, providing services to devices there. When a device moves from one cell to another, the network automatically hands off the device from the tower to another, allowing the user to continue communicating without interpretation. This reminds me of like going house to house, from grandma house to that grandma house to cousin house. Some people grew up in villages, and some people grew up in like small towns where all their family lived literally a walks away. You can walk from house to house. Go to your cousin's house, go to your mom's house, go to your dad's house, or go here and there, your brother, whatever, whatever your situation is. People, this was just reminding me of that. Cells are too large to use the unlicensed low-power spectrum used by Wi-Fi networks. Instead, cellular networks use spectrum licensed for their exclusive use. I also want to say that a lot of times when you're reading, you do have to like psychologically, like you have to apply these readings to something that you're used to, or something that it universally applies to. You know what I mean? We're talking about the internet. I apply the internet to Earth, or to the world, to the universe, to me, because it's like a bunch of information is in this universe, and a lot of this information getting used by certain groups of people, certain networks of people. You know what I mean? See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is sometimes how you need to look at it. But let's continue to read. All right, because this spectrum is scarce, it is usually awarded by auction. Wireless auctions have generated tens of billions of dollars in revenue for the U.S. Treasury since the first one was held in 1994. What is the cloud? The cloud describes an approach to computing that has become popular in the early 2000s. By storing files on servers and delivering software over the internet, cloud computing provides users with a simpler, more reliable computing experience. Cloud computing allows consumers and businesses to treat computing as a utility, leaving the technical details to technology companies. Okay. For example, in the 1990s, many people used Microsoft Office to edit documents and spreadsheets. They stored documents on their hard drives, and when a new version of Microsoft Office was released, customers had to purchase it and manually install it on their PCs. In contrast, Google Docs is a cloud office suite. When a user visits docs.google.com, she automatically gets the latest version of Google Docs because her files are stored on Google's servers. Remember that data center, or that room, all the servers, Google servers. They're available from any computer. Even better, she doesn't have to worry about losing her files in a hard drive crash. Microsoft now has its own cloud office suite called Office 365. There are many other examples. Gmail and Hotmail are cloud email services that have largely replaced desktop email clients such as Outlook, Dropbox. Such as Outlook. Dropbox is a cloud computing service that automatically synchronizes data between devices, saving people from having to carry files around on floppy disk. Apple's iCloud automatically copies users' music and other files from their desktop computer to their mobile devices, saving users the hassle of synchronizing via a USB connection. Cloud computing is having a big impact for businesses too. In the 1990s, companies wanting to create a website needed to purchase and operate their own servers. But in 2006, Amazon.com launched Amazon Web Services, which allows customers to rent servers by the hour. That has lowered the barrier to entry for creating websites and made it much easier for sites to quickly expand capacity as they grow more popular. What is a packet? Remember what a packet was? All right, we're going to review what a packet is again. A packet is the basic unit of information. Sorry, let me read that again. A packet is the basic unit of information transmitted over the internet. Splitting information up into small, digestible pieces allows the network's capacity to be used more efficiently. Okay? A packet has two parts. This is something we didn't read in the last read, or the last article. This is something we did not read. A packet has two parts. The header contains information that helps the packet gets to its destination. Remember that IP part? Internet Protocol does the same thing. It helps these packets get to their destination. So it helps the packets get to their destination, including the length of the packet, its source and destination, and a checksum value that helps the recipient detect if a packet was damaged in transit. All right, so you got to realize what a checksum is. So people need to go and go to tech terms or something and go to an article or definitions or some educational website and look at checksum and see what exactly a checksum is, because that is a term you might want to look up. All right, so after the header comes the actual data. So let's reread that because we want to make sure we're getting all that. So a packet has two parts. The header contains information that helps the packet get to its destination, including the length of the packet, its source and destination, and a checksum value that helps the recipient detect if a packet was damaged in transit. After the header comes the actual data. So after the header comes the actual data. A packet can contain up to 64 kilobytes of data, which is roughly 20 pages of plain text. Okay. I like that analogy. If internet routers experience congestion or other technical problems, they are allowed to deal with it by simply discarding packets. It's the sending computer's responsibility to detect that a packet didn't reach its destination and send another copy. This approach might seem counterintuitive, but it simplifies the internet's core infrastructure, leading to higher performance at lower cost. All right. What is the World Wide Web? Ooh, another good question. What is the World Wide Web? The World Wide Web is a popular way to publish information on the internet. The web was created by Timothy Berners-Lee, a computer programmer at the European Scientific Research Organization, CERN. In 1991, it offered a more powerful and user-friendly interface than internet applications. The web supported hyperlinks, allowing users to browse from one document to another with a single click. Over time, the web became increasingly sophisticated, supporting images, audio, video, and interactive content. In the mid-1990s, companies such as Yahoo and Amazon.com began building profitable businesses based on the web. In the 2000s, full-feature web-based applications such as Yahoo Maps and Google Docs were created. In 1994, Berners-Lee created the World Wide Web Consortium, W3C, to be the web's official standards organization. He is still the W3C's director and continues to oversee the development of web standards. However, the web is an open platform and the W3C can't compel anyone to adopt its recommendations. In practice, the organizations with the most influence over the web are Microsoft, Google, Apple, and Mozilla. The companies that produce the leading web browsers. So these are the companies that produce so-called leading web browsers, right? All right, any technologies adopted by these four become de facto web standards. All right, let's go down here. The web has become so popular that many people now regard it as synonymous with the internet itself. But technically, the web is just one of many internet applications. Other applications include email and BitTorrent. What's a web browser? A web browser is a computer program that allows users to download and view websites. Web browsers are available for desktop computers, tablets, and mobile phones. The first widely used browser was Mosaic, created by researchers at the University of Illinois. The Mosaic team moved to California to found Netscape, which built the first commercially successful web browser in 1994. Netscape's popularity was soon eclipsed by Microsoft's Internet Explorer, but an open source version of Netscape's browser became the modern Firefox browser. Apple released its Safari browser in 2003, and Google released a browser called Chrome in 2008. By 2015, Chrome had grown to be the most popular web browser with a market share around 50%. Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Safari also had significant market share. What is SSL? SSL, short for Secure Sockets Layer, is a family of encryption technologies that allows web browsers to protect the privacy of information they transmit over the internet. When you visit a secure website such as gmail.com, you'll see a lock next to the URL, indicating that your communications with the site are encrypted. Here's what that looks like in Google Chrome browser right here. Diagrams are good. They help. That lock is supposed to signal. Let's keep it showing. That lock, as you see above us right here near HTTPS on the left side, that lock So that lock is supposed to signal that third parties won't be able to read any information you send or receive under the hood. Oh, damn. So basically that lock is just basically you can't see the information. So under the hood, SSL accomplishes that by transforming your data into a coded message that only the recipient knows how to decipher. If a malicious party is listening to the conversation, it will only see a singly random string of characters and not the contents of your emails, Facebook posts, credit card numbers, or other private information. Good. SSL was introduced by Netscape in 1994. In its early years, it was only used on a few types of websites, such as online banking sites. By the early 2010s, Google, Yahoo, and Facebook all use SSL encryption for their websites and online services. More recently, there has been a movement towards making the use of SSL universal. In 2015, Mozilla announced that future versions of the Firefox browser would treat the lack of SSL encryption as a security flaw. As a way to encourage all websites to upgrade, Google is considering taking the same step with Chrome. Okay. Now, what is the domain name system? Okay. We're going to get to that. What is the DNS? The domain name system, or DNS, is the reason you can access Vox by typing vox.com into your browser rather than a hard to remember numeric address such as the one you see right here. The system is hierarchical. The system is hierarchical. You know, hair. No, it's not. It's definitely not hair, but it's. I know what it is, but it's hierarchical. Oh, hierarch. That's an archical. Hierarchical. Hierarchical. Okay, we're gonna make sure we always say it like that next time. So, for example, the .com domain is administered by a company called VeriSign. Never heard of that before. VeriSign assigns subdomains like google.com and vox.com. Owners of these second-level domains, in turn, can create subdomains such as mail.google.com. So these are subdomains: mail.google.com and maps.google.com. Okay. Because popular websites use domain names to identify themselves to the public, the security of DNS has become an increasing concern. Criminals and government spies alike have sought to compromise DNS in order to impersonate popular websites such as Facebook.com and Gmail.com and interpret their private communications. Sounds like cyber. Yep, you know exactly what I'm talking. All right, a standard called DNSSEC seeks to beef up DNS security with encryption, but few people have adopted it. But yeah, right here. Did it just say what I think it said? Okay, so it's talking about security, right? You know, the security of DNS. Um, oh yeah, it's talking about criminals and government spies. I was like, wait, that sounds like war to me. Mm-hmm. Anyways, let's keep it moving. Let's not talk about that. Who did we read that? It says a standard called DNSSEC seeks to beef up, yes, DNS security with encryption. See that encryption? A few people have adopted it. All right, so let's go here. It says who decides what domain names exist and who gets them? Who does decide that? The domain name system is administered by the Internet Corporation for assigned names and numbers. ICANN. ICANN. Yeah. A nonprofit organization based in California. ICANN was founded in 1998. It was granted authority over DNS by the U.S. Commerce Department. So, Commerce Department. It was granted authority over DNS by the U.S. Commerce Department. Okay. Though it has increasingly asserted its independence from the U.S. government. Okay. There are two types of domain names. The first is generic top-level domains, GTLDs. So that's generic top-level domains, such as .com, .edu, .org, and .gov. Because the internet originated in the United States, these domains tend to be most popular there. Authority over these domains is usually delegated to private organizations. All right. There are also country code top-level domains, SCC. Again, this is country code top-level domain, CCTLD. Okay. Each country in the world has its own two-letter code. For example, okay, so each country in the world has So we're talking about countries. Okay. Not talking about states or counties right now. We're talking about countries. All right, two-letter code. So each country in the world has its own two-letter code. For example, the CCTLD, remember CC stands for country code, for the United States is .US, Great Britain is .UK, and China's is .CN. Okay. These domains are administered by authorities in each country. Some CCTLDs, such as .TV for the island nation of Tuvalu, and .io, the British Indian Ocean Territory. Yeah, a lot of people use .io for other reasons, don't they? Or for what reason, really? The British Indian Ocean Territory. So this is the British. Now the Indian Ocean Territory. Have become popular for use outside of their home countries. In 2011, ICANN voted to make it easier to create new GTLDs. As a result, there may be dozens or even hundreds of new domains in the next year. Is that it for us? It looks like that's it, guys, and we're done with this reading. Hope you guys enjoyed and learned something. And we will be back for another reading. See you next time. Peace.